Shit. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Who's 74, and we back with another one today. Today we're gonna be going over chapter One Piece, chapter 1168. So we are back full circle, right around where we left off, where the flashback started with Loki and Ja Rule going to the throne room. Okay. Um, I did see the spoilers to this, so it's getting quite spicy. You feel me? If I must say, as far as what's going on. So sometimes when I be trying to have discussions about what happened last chapter, before we read this chapter, it gets messed up when I read the spoilers because I get to talking about the spoilers thinking that it happened last chapter. So we not gonna discuss the spoilers. We gonna talk about this shit as we read the chapters. Okay. So we're gonna read the chapter, and as the spoiler stuff pop up, we're gonna be like, yeah, this was in the spoilers. Yeah, this was in the spoilers. And it's just getting so close to my final destination. For most of you who have not been following me this whole time, come closer. My final destination is seeing Harold get his ass killed. I don't like this guy. Nothing that you say will make me feel bad for him. And I've been saying this whole time, I hope that the moment he gets to the place where he thinks he wants to be, I hope his whole world get flips upside down just as he dies. That's the type of death I want Harold to have. I do know from the spoilers that that happened. I'm good at predicting deaths in One Piece, just like I predicted Rock's death to the T. Getting broken from the dummy reversing, still having life left in him. And just when he was thinking to himself, oh, I'm gonna make it and survive, I said, Garland gonna get up and get that get back. And that's what happened. But before we get into the chapter this week, y'all know I love sharing my new stuff that I get, my new collectibles, I've been sharing everything with y'all from day one, from when I first got this mouse pad. That was the first thing I got. Somebody made it for me. If y'all do not know, I'm a huge Shigaraki fan. The only villain I like more than Shigaraki in any anime is Hal Asakura from Shaman King. Those two are the goated, most best portrayals of an anime villain that I've ever seen in anime history. Maybe I have not seen all anime, but if you know an anime villain that portrayed being the villain and a villain arc was better than Shigaraki and or Hal Asakura, feel free to let me know while I look into them. But until now, they reign. But from that to, you know, my statues, my portraits, I got my Fungo Pops right here. You feel me? I'm collecting Superman action. I'm collecting action figures now. You feel me? Every one of these action figures that I do buy, I am going to buy my son a copy because these are movable, flexible, actual toys, not statues. So I want him to have stuff to play with, and I just want stuff to collect. But now I am finally collecting comics. And shout out to my wife for starting me off. We got DC Rebirth, issue number one, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Trinity. This is after New 52 Superman dies. This was the first issue of the new DC comic books. Rebirth issue 1. Batman of the New 52, Diana of the New 52, meeting and sitting with Superman, and they just talking, discussing, trying to build bond and also figure each other out because this is not the Superman that they know. New 52 Superman had died, and his essence then fused with the original Superman, and he became the Superman of of that universe, and that was the start of the DC Rebirth comics. This is DC Rebirth Suicide Squad issue number one. I have not read any of the DC Rebirth Suicide Squad, so I'm real interested to get into this one. This one is DC Rebirth Superman issue number one. Okay, so this is, in a way, this is actually the comic where Superman takes up the mantle when pre-crisis Superman takes up the mantle as the new Superman in the new 52 universe. So this is actually the one that comes out right before this, because this one has the death of the new 52 Superman in it and everything. So yeah. And then this one right here, we just got a Catwoman comic book. Don't know much about this one, but we're gonna look into it. I want to see what um comic line is part of, so I can collect the rest of those too. But yeah, that's what we got, y'all. I'm real big on DC Rebirth. That was one of my that was the comic line that was out when I actually got into comics. Like, I knew about the new 52 and all that, but I wasn't interested in, actually reading the comics until I used to look them up and know about them, but like I got interested in actually reading the comics issue by issue during the new 50 during the Rebirth era. So, but skipping ahead, let's get back into it, okay? I just want to share my new stuff with y'all. So we're gonna flame up this blunt and we're gonna get into it. And is we gonna see Harold die on this chapter, or is it gonna end in a cliffhanger? All right, folks, hit that for me real quick. So y'all already know how it go. We finna start this chapter review. Sit back, relax, kick your feet up, and review with me. If you don't got a blunt to smoke, feel free to hit mine as I tap that to the screen. It's a session, baby. We just chilling, we vibing. Okie dokie. So starting off, we have another dumbass cover request for this chapter. The name of this chapter is called Elbaf Snow, by the way. But the cover that we got, y'all can see it. Let's look at it together. I don't care for these. I'm just showing y'all because some of y'all be actually, oh wow, I love it. I don't get no fuck about Hachi getting gloves made from him by Peep. I don't care. I just know it's some type of reference being made in here. Just like the last one with the cat stealing the book from the place, and the Nami's sister and that old guy Genki, whatever his name was, they didn't get mad at it. That was supposed to be foreshadowing the same way Nami stole a book from that bookstore when she was a kid, and you know, I guess they didn't get mad at her. But yeah, maybe it's they're referencing something there too. But these cover stories are dumb to me. I want to get to a actual. Well, these cover requests are dumb to me. I want to get back to a cover story. All right, moving on, moving on. So we cutting over to 15 years ago. It says the same year all over the world. Hellbath, New World. 15 years ago, that same year all over the world. So this is shortly after, we get Harold joining up Holy Knights, getting that devoted blade of God tattoo. Rogers was executed publicly, would put a bunch of more pirates on the seas, and Emu decided to draft giants into the world government, not because of Harold's efforts, but to counterbalance the rising number of pirate crews on the sea. So we get some dialogue saying those giant marines are really doing a good job, as we cut open and see some people reading the newspaper. They're saying they're so reliable. I always thought they looked scary, but now I wouldn't mind meeting one. So, the public opinion about giants is changing now because they are more active in the world and they're showing up in the newspaper a lot more. Okay. This could have always been the case. I'm sorry, but if you wanted to be comfortable with giants, you could have had giants go across the world, Harold. The same way you got them joining the Marines, you could have had giants going on ships and visiting surrounding countries and nations and doing good deeds, stopping pirates, stopping road pirates from stealing from them. Stopping the bad Marine soldiers from fucking with the unallied countries. You could have been doing that, and Moria News reports on a lot. He definitely would have been reporting about giants all over the world, randomly popping up, saving countries. But this is how you guys chose to do it. So somebody else says, can't you get us stacked up again? Elbaf seafood is super popular now. I bet it is. Yeah, Elbaf seafood, super popular. Not according to Luffy. Well, that shit gave him energy, but Luffy said that shit was stanky than a motherfucker and nasty. That shark meat that Dory gave him when they was running away from the Gorosei on Egghead, right? So somebody said, I bet it is, and then we cut over to a pirate crew now. The pirate crew saying this here is top quality Elbaf cedar. It's a rare and tricky item to import. Somebody else says, I'll take it already. So Elbath is more open to the world now. Now Elbath is like they're trading. So we got one ship going to like whatever place this is, where this restaurant is, and this guy's saying, you got that Elbath meat. We got to get stocked up on that. It's real popular. And then on the pirate ship, we got somebody. He's meeting with somebody, and I guess they trading as well. And he's getting top quality Elbath cedar wood. So then we cut over to Elbath, which is in a new world. Fuck on. And we see somebody says, we finally become a member nation. And people are screaming, Harold, Harold. And then we cut over to Harold, and Harold says, I think we should build sightseeing ships so our people can freely visit all of our allies. Harold is like astonished. He's so happy right now. Folks is so happy that for him his work is paying off. I mean, it theoretically it is paying off. You know, the Giants are more known to the world than they ever been. They trading now. They got ports open. Like it's a wonderful time to be alive for Harold. Harold's talking to his people. He said we're actually a real minority from the perspective of the outside world. But there are many nations out there with a wide variety of races coexisting. This is thanks to the culture of mutual respect. Let's join the larger world, make new friends, and grow in knowledge together. Harold screams to the crowd through a microphone. How the fuck they get that? I don't know. Hit that, my fault, y'all. I've been hogging. Hit it again, huh? It's cool. I'm sorry. You feel me? I'm just, by this time, y'all should have y'all own blunts in rotation too. Matter of fact, if you got a blunt, let me tap your shit. Appreciate you. All right. So yeah, it's a wonderful time to be alive for Harold, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I just hope his parade gets shitted on real bad. So we see some giant soldiers that are in the crowd saying, "We're one step away. Our future has never been brighter." Well, that's Harold still saying that. And one of the giants respond, "Yeah, let's ditch this warrior crap." And then Harold says, "I'll make it happen, Ida." Ida. And he's saying that to himself because you gotta remember, this is all the gold that he picked up once he met Ida. This was never a goal for Harold until he met the woman of his dreams, you know, who he met her in a similar fashion, paying her due to humans who saved her. And, he taught her compassion for the humans and he built a bomb with the humans and wanted to then learn more and, build more bombs to the outside world. So, this woman changed him for the better a little bit because she made him a naive idiot. Because I'm sorry, Ida, as joyful and happy as she is, she's a naive idiot, which is why she stays in the tavern. You feel me? Ida, outside in the outside world, selling the seeds would be an idiot that goes for whatever. I'm sorry. Ida in real life is one of those girls they're so optimistic about everything. You could just be like, "Oh yeah, I think you're cute," even though you never talked to her before. And then, one of them easygoing girls that you like, "Oh yeah, she a goofy. We could get her to fuck the team real quick." You feel me? Just tell her something, make her think. You feel me? Y'all really fuck with her. You feel me? Tell her, give some compliments, make her feel pretty, and yeah, y'all could definitely get some top from her. That's how Ida translates into the real world. That girl that's easy to take advantage of and lie to and manipulate. So that's what she made Harold. A dummy that's easy to be lied to and manipulated. But they good spirited though. I give them that. Can't take that from them. They just take how they feel like the world should be and and ignore they use that image to ignore how the world really is in front of them. So they are unable to move accordingly in life at all. Ain't the type of motherfucker that would have sit and had lunch with that motherfucker who poisoned her, knowing that he wanted to kill her. Oh, you don't like me? You want to poison me? You feel the way because I became queen now when you're the other girl's family? It's okay. I love you anyway. Come to the tavern. Let's have a drink together. And would still turn her back to that motherfucker. You feel me? Knowing that the motherfuckers got evil intentions. Like, that's the type of motherfucker Ida is. I'm sorry. He'll be cutting over now to the Warrior School, which is now built. Last chapter, we seen Harold ask Saul to actually get started on this. It was just an ideal back then, but now we see that ideal in fruition this chapter. We see kids playing, and we see Saul and Harold speaking to each other. Harold says, "This is all thanks to you, Saul. Better sharp kids than sharp blades, huh?" Saul replies. We can switch together, y'all. We can watch this shit together now. Unless y'all just want some more up closes of my sexy face. Hit blunt again. Saul says, but ain't you afraid you lost something here? You've lost something here, Harold? And then Harold just ponders for a second. And then he say, I don't believe that military power is what makes a country strong anymore. He says it's 'cause of Ida. She taught me everything. Meeting her was the greatest blessing of my life and your greatest failure also. I'm sorry. I love her, love you. I love her for y'all. I love y'all together. But she was your greatest blessing and your greatest downfall. You feel me? Cause the change that she brought to you, bro, changed you not for the better at the end of the day. Harold, you just need to moderate between the violence and the good. Every country needs to be able to defend themselves at the end of the day. Every country needs to be able to defend themselves at the end of the day. And you took that from yours. Elbap did not have to be a country that went out, you feel me, that went out being ops. You feel me? They did not have to be the country that went out fucking with motherfuckers. I get that, but you did not have to be the country that had no defense as well. So we see in the flashback, Harold actually did get back in time to see Ida before she died. She says, hey, Harold. She says, Elbath really has changed a lot. She said, when I first came here, there were tons of internal conflict. It was scary. She said, but you've changed everything. Now children can laugh and study instead. That's like a totally different country. The old customs are, Ned Harold said, the old customs are backward traditions. All of those bad practices from the warrior area would be thrown away. Ida says, oh, but I kinda like the whole warrior's pride part. It's really cool. You should cherish your culture. Look, and even she said it. Look, she said it. So you feel me? Like Ida, I'm sorry for disrespecting you. Harold's just a dumbass, bro. I'm sorry for disres. Look, come here. I'm sorry for disrespecting Ida. Sorry for disrespecting you, Ida. Harold's a fucking idiot, bro. You can't make it up. He's a dumbass, bro. Oh my god. Even she said it. Like you should really cherish your culture. You didn't have to make that the whole root of the, the whole, like our whole identity anymore. But man, Harold says, don't you get, oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Harold says, don't you get it, Ida? It's that very culture that keeps us from marrying. I can't accept it. Ida says, you always did say you wanted to make me your legal wife. That really is the sweetest thing. She says, you're so cute. What about Loki? He'll always be Harudin's kid brother, won't he? So Ada says, what about Loki? And Harold says he'll always be Harudin's kid brother, won't he? Ida says, in my heart, I've always thought of him like that. She says, feeling like that keeps my heart full. It's what kept me going all this time. But don't worry, it's okay. She said, you're everybody's king, Harold. She says, and you're almost right there. Harold says, that's right, Ida. It won't be long. Soon we'll be connected with the world, with the whole world. Our world will be tens of thousands times bigger. Then we can go traveling together. Just like the old days, as he has a flashback to when they were younger. And it's crazy how much he changed since the younger days. Like just outside of cutting his hair, folks got the beard and everything. She looks different. I mean, she looked the same. He's totally different. Ida says that sounds amazing. And she says, I'm looking forward to it. Harold says, me too, as she draws her last breath and passes away. We see Harold walking out the tavern in tears. And it's Hyrugen and everybody else, the rest of his giant pirates, they running in. Loki is in the jail cell. We seeing him in the jail cell. Hyrugen over his mom crying. Harold again walking away crying. We see Loki in the jail cell just upset because he got in trouble for burning down that village. He burnt down the entire alcohol village because he found out they the ones that poisoned Ida. So I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this chapter, spoilers, and they were talking about the last chapter, saying things like Harold made Ida his queen. They never got married. She never became the official queen of Elbaf. As you see in this chapter, even in her dying moments, you feel me, Harold was saying that the traditions and the elders wouldn't let him marry her. And a lot of people were addressing her as the queen of Elbaf, but Elbaf had no queen. Harold wanted to make her queen, but Elbaf had no queen. Once Estrich died, Elbaf had no queen the entire time. So yeah, we get a closer look at Loki, and he's actually crying, and it is snowing again in Elbaf. Let me point that out. The last time it snowed in Elbaf, it was so awkward. And that's kind of crazy foreshadowing, because the last time it snowed in Elbaf, it was like a cursed thing when Loki was born. People were dying. The Elbathians were being starved out, and they were being saved by, the few humans that they built relationships with, who was bringing them food and stuff. When Harold was building bombs the right way. This time it's snowing again. They don't seem to be starving or hungry at all. There's no infighting, and that they're trading with the whole world, so they don't have any malnourishment going on right now. So that was Elbaf's first winter of this flashback versus their second winter. Okay, so now we're cutting over to 14 years ago, the holy land of Mary-Jawas. Somebody says Shanks is missing. Indeed, he had completed his last mission. He would have been formally knighted. And that's why folks says, dude, he said, you ain't putting that shit on me. So we see Harold sitting in the room with the Gorosei saying, as you were our next choice, that opportunity now falls to you. And somebody says, what will you do? Harold says, I'll naturally accept the honor of being one of God's knights. Doing that will secure Elbaf's membership status. And then the Gorosei are walking with Harold, I'm guessing, to the throne room now. They're saying, congratulations, then. The Great One has agreed to trust in you. And it's crazy that the hallways and marriage you are and the building and shit. Like it's crazy that it's just naturally is big enough. The hallways are naturally tall enough to and wide enough for a giant to just walk through comfortably. Not even just a giant. I'm talking about ancient giant like Harold. Cause the average giant only go to that motherfucking kneecap. So the Gorosei is saying, congratulations, then. The Great One has agreed to trust in you. It's been a long process. You will be remembered as a king who brought great change to Elbath. Harold says, well, to be honest, when Elbath finally joins the world government, I plan to relinquish the throne. A younger, more virtuous ruler than I should take over. As the girls say, looking like they looking at each other like as they hearing that like shut hit blunt. They looking at each other like shit. Little do you know. So then we hear a voice that says, that is a matter for Moo to decide. As Harold looks up and he sees Emu sitting on the throne, Harold says, why? Why is there someone on the empty throne? And then Emu says, come. Moo has been watching thee, Harold. As we see screaming, Harold screams. He screams as Emu forcibly changes the tattoo on his mark from the first variety pack to the second variety pack, from the bronze to silver, I would say. And Harold screeching saying this power. He's saying it's surging within me, it's chilling as it brings him not to his knees, to one knee. It bring him down as that tattoo is changing. And then one of the Gorosei says, this is the power of immortality. When well, they're all talking. We don't care. Y'all see them. One of them says, this is the power of immortality. The other one says, I said immortality, huh? Immortality. And the other one says, it still sends shivers down the spine. And then I know him, Najjuro says, he is now beyond any wild monster. He has been forged into a mighty weapon. And then they say, consider thyself an immortal knight sworn to Mu. That's what Mu says. And then Harold says, immortal? I can't believe it. Mu says, carve an abyss pentagon in Elbath. That will mark the bond between us. Mu says, thy dearest wish shall finally be granted. As Harold dumbass is sitting there smiling. You just found out this a nigga sitting on an empty throne for one. You've been working for the world government. They gave you a tattoo, devoted blade of God, telling you things about the final contract. Oh, you get the final two contracts, you get close to God. And then you walk in the throne room, see a motherfucker sitting on the empty throne room. And now they go from saying knight of God to a knight of Mu, which lets you know whatever the fuck you're looking at right now is being associated with God. And he's happy that he just got that mark changed. So Harold arrives back on Elbath, and he says soon as his last mission is completed, Elbath will be recognized as a member of the world government. Mu says as soon as this last mission is completed, Elbath will be recognized as a member of the world government. So outside the castle, we see Harold in his room, and he has the pentagon circle in the throne room, just like Emu said. And then Harold is on the transponder snail. He's saying, could you repeat that, great Emu? Emu says, mobilize the entire nation and form a grand army of warriors. As Harold is looking distraught because as he just told his wife, because I don't get no fuck, that was his wife in her dying moment. Wasn't the queen of Elbath, but that was his wife. Told her in his dying moment that that's not what he wanted for his people. Emu says the giant warrior fleet will stand alongside the Marines. And then and serve as the world. And he's saying serve the world as, and then Harold says, wait, no, hold on. Everything I done was to free Elbath from violence. Of course, if anyone still wishes to fight, I'll gladly encourage them to enlist in the Marines, but and we see because Harold is shouting this, he's shouting as he's talking. And we see the soldiers outside of the door saying, who is the king talking to in there? And then Emu says, thou vowed to atone for Elbaz's history, even at the cost of becoming a slave. I meant to carry that burden alone. And then Emu says, the burden of such history is too great for thee to bear alone. Now hold thy tongue. Thou cannot disobey Mu. Emu says those who enter into a deep sea covenant may gain immortality and power, but it comes at the cost of total obedience. Thou wilt carry out Mu's order regardless of thine own will. As we see Harold's body just moving on his own. Harold says this isn't good. I'm losing control of Elbath. They never meant for it to become part of the fold. Curse that emu. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Zoom in. Hold on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to see that shit. For him, I like to see that shit. I like to see that shit in this horrible moment. In this horrible moment. But you realizing that everything you wasted. Think about how long giants live. Think about the human years and equivalent to giant years. When Harold was 15 in giant years, that was 45 human years. When Harold was 15 years old, he was alive for 45 human years. That's around the same time when he met Ida, which means that's when he started, so let's say he was around 20 his time. When he started trying to forge bonds with the world and the government. This man has spent over close to over 300, about 300. Man, this man, cause look at how old he is now, bro. The flashback been going on for a while. This man spent over 300 human years, wasting his time trying to kiss ass to get with the world government. And in this moment right now, when he just Oh, I love it how his ship is sinking so hard because you let a man that you considered your friend sit in front of you and beg you to help him save his family. And for this purpose, right here, right now, you told him no and let him die. So Harold screams, guards, as he's having inner dialogue. The plan was always to enslave the warriors of Elbath. So we see the guards come in saying, what is it, your majesty? Is someone And Harold says, chain me to this pillar. Hurry, summon Elder Jarua and my sons. I mean, it looked like blood on the pillar. So from what I'm assuming, Harold, because he got his sword in his hand now too, he cut his arm off just to give him some time to resist that control so he can get tied up to that pillar. And then the guards say, but sir, I believe Harujin is still out at sea. And Lord Loki, that is still in prison after what happened. I can't resist for long, Harold says. The guard says, what exactly is this concerning you, Majesty? And Harold says, None of that matters. Now release him. Okay, so you're free to go, Loki. Loki says, head out to the castle at once. The king requests your presence. Ja Rule, same thing going on. They summoning Ja Rule, and so we return to this to where this tale began. The narration says. It says the day the castle massacre, when Elbaf's most beloved king Harold, the the ben, the benevolent, yes, lost his life. I was fucking tongue twisted like a motherfucker. Benevolent. I could say that word. And then it says and break next week. Fuck, I gotta wait 2 weeks to see this man die for real. Okay, so no action in this chapter, but this chapter was actually good. I consider this chapter great because it's just a build up for the conclusion we've been waiting on. You feel me? What really happened to Harold? Why was that pentagram circle in the room? We said it was because he had some type of connection to Emu and was a god's knight, and it turned out to be true. We see how it all got there. We see how it turned out. We finna find out how Loki ended up being considered the man that killed Hydrogen's father, and we're gonna find out. I guarantee Harold told Ja Rule and Loki not to tell nobody. I'm pretty sure he told them not to tell nobody, which is why Loki is just locked up right now. Was locked up for all those years. What was it? 6 years. Chained to that tree and just accepting the title of the guy who killed his father and stole the ancient devil fruit. You feel me? That's the story. He killed his father so he can steal that devil fruit. So I know for a fact that Harold had told him not to tell nobody. Don't really got much to say. As y'all see, we read the chapter. I didn't really point out this was part of the spoilers. That wasn't. It didn't really seem that important. But so if it's a break next week, that means I got a whole week before we get any new spoilers. I'm just waiting to see them. We gonna tune in there and see what them spoilers was like, folks. That's 2274. We out.